Welcome back. So we got a lot of things going on. A lot of things going on. And it's going to be a little bit of talking. I apologize for the talking, but I want you guys to understand what we're doing and what we got to do to make that thing happen. Let's start off with the drivetrain. So we have a KTTA19 K19 engine, and the KTT stands for, it's a K engine, and it's got twin turbos, so that's the TT, and then it's also got an aftercooler. So there you go. So what I got to do to this thing is that oil pan's got to be flipped around, because if we put it in the tractor right now, the axle's going to hit the oil pan. So we got to pull the, oh, we got a big oil leak everywhere. Everywhere. Dad was pulling oil out of it, and he must have got sidetracked. All right, let's fix that real quick. Oh crap! Okay. I think that's pretty decent. Things happen. So what was going on is there was oil still in the engine, which looked really good, by the way. It looked almost brand new, but we have to remove the oil to get the oil pan off. So Dad was doing the very common courtesy thing of taking the oil out for me so I can take the oil pan off. And he left the valve open, kind of forgot about it. It's okay, we got floor dry. So all right, let's get back to this again. What I gotta do to this motor is I have to, well, we don't have to, but we really, really like having air on our tractors. So if you have a shovel or a tire or something that you need air to take an impact or to air up the tire, it's really nice to have. So this engine here does not have an air compressor. But guess what I have right here? Here's an air compressor. But what I gotta do is I gotta take a few pieces off, and there's a little gear here. I gotta pull the housing off, put that gear on there. This injection pump is gonna be moved back. Air compressor is gonna go right there. Got a couple cooling lines and a few other things, and a couple injector lines to rearrange to make that happen. The next thing I gotta do is obviously, oil pan's gotta be flipped, and I got gaskets for it right up here, obviously. One thing that we're waiting on is a rear main seal, and you're probably thinking, well, what's wrong with this one? Nothing wrong with it. But the problem is it's wet on both sides. What I mean by that is the engine's got oil. Well, the transmission's got oil too. So we need a seal that can not let the transmission oil go in and not the engine oil go out. So right now, it's just letting the engine oil not go out. If we put the transmission on right now, this engine will start filling up with transmission fluid because there's no way to stop it. So we got to get one for there. Now the other thing is, you're probably looking behind me, what's that thing? Oh, this is a nice big old radiator. Al's Diesel happened to have this thing from another project, and it's hardly been used, and it's rated for like 700 horsepower. At least that's what it was on that, whatever stand the engine had on it. It was about 700 horsepower. So we got a radiator, we got a fan that's supposed to spin the right direction. We also have a tube and shell, and that's what you're probably thinking, well, what is a tube and shell? We got to have a way to cool the transmission. So right here is called a tube and shell. You've got coolant that goes in the outside port, comes out the other port, and then you got oil going in. So as the oil's flowing through, the coolant's going to cool the oil. That way it won't overheat, because otherwise, pulling long hours, going 5 miles an hour, pretty good RPMs, pulling pretty hard, your transmission's going to get hot. So we're going to use the radiator to cool this thing, to cool the transmission. And then the transmission that we have is an Allison 6000 series transmission. Al's Diesel worked on it for us, because what we had to do is we had to remove that front plate off, put the right flywheel on. He had to change a bearing and a couple other things. He put this on the stand, as you guys can see. Well, you'll probably see it soon, if not, or see it now. And shifted through the gears, everything worked great. Now, what I got to do with that thing, there's a few other things to do. I got to make a wiring harness. As you can tell, here's the brain box, and I got to make a harness to go from the transmission to the cab for the shifting unit to make that work. Yeah, it's just a few things to do. Oh yeah. I don't know if I should tell you guys this, but you probably saw in the background. What's that black thing right there? So my goal today is to try to flip the oil pan, try to put the air compressor on this engine, get this ready to go, and then once that's good to go, then we can start tackling on other stuff, because we need to have this ready to mount in the tractor when we're ready. So I don't want to be ready in the tractor when this thing's not ready. Got it? Get it? Okay, enough rambling. Let's start working. Now that I removed the injection pump, I got to take that housing right there off. But before I do, there's a little port on the front of this engine right here. It's a sight little hole, or sight hole, or C hole. I don't know. Anyways, you pull the plug out. Inside there, you can see the teeth of all the gears that are in the front of this thing. And you're thinking, well, if I pull the injection pump off, I just screwed up the timing. Not necessarily. That pump there, doesn't matter where you put it on, doesn't matter how you get it on, it just has to rotate and build up the pressure, and then it's a mechanical injectors that fire. So everything's all mechanical. It just has to build up pressure. And then when you throttle up, it allows more pressure to go to the injectors and gives it more fuel. But what I do have to do is, after I open this little port here, I have to go inside and find the little teeth that have markings. And I tried rotating it, I could not find the markings on it. So what I did is I took a grease pen and marked on the teeth so I can pull that cover off, and then when I get that all repaired with that replaced, with this little sprocket here, or gear, or whatever you want to call it, then I'll put it back on. Now you're probably thinking, well, if it doesn't matter on timing, why are you going to the hassle of doing that? If we ever have to time the engine, ever have to do work on this engine, and that tooth is off, and I didn't get it on right on this accessory drive, you could mess up all your timing. So when you go to time the engine, all of a sudden, or adjust the engine, you could do damage. So what I'm doing is marking what I want, pull it off, and then I'll slide it back in the exact same way. And I'm pretty sure it's ready to pull off. I think we can just tap on it. I don't have any more bolts on it to remove. Oh, silly me. I can't do that. I gotta take this pulley off right here. My bad. All right, let's go find a puller and pull that off. Yeah, oops, forgot about that. I was looking at it, I was like, wait a minute, hang on a second, I'm missing something. I know I'm missing something. What am I missing? Well, I was missing that. I had a puller. There we go. Right here. I'll start pulling that off. Okay, that solves my question. All right, let's pull that off.
Well, while Legar's is getting work done to that engine, I'm going to start the fun process of stripping off all the unnecessary stuff in this tractor that we don't need, which is pretty much everything but the frame. All the hydraulic lanes, all this valve body, everything's got to come off. So let's start stripping, make a big pile, throw it out the door, and probably put it in the pit. It's always the bolt at the very top. That gonna fight you the whole way. Just so you guys know, the last time this bolt was messed with was 1977. So, yeah, I gotta get it to cut some slack. There we go, there we go. We're making progress. Okay. That was a good day to work out triceps. Oh yeah. Oh, we're moving now. I do that by hand. Oh. There we go. All right. Oh yeah, making progress. Now we're getting all new valve bodies or remotes. They're gonna be electronic, so we don't need this old archaic one. Plus that's open center and we're gonna be going to a closed center system.
Ready to take this thing off? There we go. Perfect. This is what I had to take it off for. See this right here? These three little jaws? They got a little plastic deal that goes in between those jaws in the injection pump. And that is what it runs on. Yeah, like that, okay? This air compressor also has those three jaws. But what I need to do is this air compressor actually has a spline shaft on the one side. As you can see, here's a collar. I have to replace this piece here, the three jaw piece that I think is just compression fitting, with these right here. And I think we should be good to go. So I just gotta get that in the press and put some pressure on it and see what happens. Always nerve-wracking, but I think I can make it happen. I've never done this one before, but I've just swapped out that whole unit before. So we'll see how this goes. Well, that was easy. I like it. Okay. This piece here, I don't need. I need this one. Now the question is, we got a little lip here. You know that old show that we like have the options of 50-50, call a friend, you know, those kind of things? I think I'm gonna call a friend because I don't want to put this on backwards. See that little step right there? It's flush on one side. It's got a little step on it. I want to do it right. Yeah. Oh, actually, maybe, you know, maybe I won't call a friend. I think I have a book on this engine. I'm going to open a book. Sometimes books are nice. I don't really care to read books, but I'm going to look in a book. I'll find out. All right, I looked in the book, and I could not find anything on that. It was probably right there in front of me. I just couldn't see it. But I texted a friend and he said flat face facing towards the front, the step part facing towards the injection pump. So what I found is a socket that fits perfectly over that little step. I'm going to use that to press it on. Let's add a shim. And there we have it. Now, the next step is I gotta put that bolt right here back in. I'll clean it up, make sure it's all decent. Put that back in, and then I gotta prep and make sure that this surface here looks really good. They gave me new gaskets to put on. Well, actually, they did not give me gaskets. So I'm gonna clean that up really good and put a little bit of silicone on that surface, make sure it looks good. I'll not damage that. And then I can put that back on, put the accessory drive pulley back on, and then it'll be mounting the air compressor and putting the injection pump back on. Yeah, all right. Thinking it through in my head, make sure I'm doing this all the way it should be. Because if you don't do it very often, you get rusty. And you don't get very confident. And that's how I feel right now.
So with the valve already removed, now I'm gonna get the clutch linkage. Because this is gonna be a power shift transmission, you'll no longer need a clutch pedal on the floor. So, that there, worthless. Don't scratch the paint. Are we gonna be able to fit KTTA twin turbo Cummins 19 liter 1150 cubic inch under here and an Allison 6000 6-speed transmission? I don't know. It's gonna be tight, but we're gonna make it work. I think we're just gonna have to go that way a little bit. The amount of spiders that I've killed in here. Look at that thing. Where are you guys? Spiders, go away. Ugh. Your way. Actually, I'm gonna go your way with this.
Okay, I'm back from my lunch break. Now the thing that I gotta do, and I see, I guess I just didn't rotate it far enough. I thought I made a full rotation, but they have a white mark here where the teeth is, or not teeth, a little dimple. I made one over here. It's gonna be the same, I just have to line them up, but I thought I went far enough, I guess I didn't. Now what I gotta do is put that on. I clean up the surfaces, put a little bit of, tiny bit of silicone. I don't wanna go crazy, just a tiny bit. And then I'll put that on here, but I gotta make sure that those teeth are lined up. And then once they're lined up, then I can bolt it up and assemble everything. Perfect. Got it. That's what I needed to do. Okay, good. Took a little bit for the teeth to line up. I can put this plug, put it back in this hole and tighten it up. Put the rest of the bolts on the back here to snug that up. So I had a problem. This gasket, it matches up except for there's a big hole in the bottom where the drain of the oil of the compressor goes back in the engine. There is no port here on this flange that goes back down. So I put a vacuum and drilled this out, found out where the hole is. It's gonna work fine, but for whatever reason they just didn't drill that hole when they cast this motor, or cast that flange, so. All right, we're gonna put this thing on. Weighs a little bit. And when I do that, I'm gonna make sure that this is on right. You don't wanna use the gasket and block the oil port, because it also lubricates the injection pump. So, you wanna do it right. There we go. Now I gotta put some bolts in it. I've been sitting here for quite a while trying to get this one last bolt on. And for those guys that work on these Cummins, they know exactly what I'm talking about. I had to cut a wrench and weld it just so I can get back in here because I don't have that special Cummins wrench to put the air compressor pump on and off. And so it's like a little tiny tink, tink. And there's barely enough room for my finger to be back there to kind of guide and see where it needs to go. Yeah, it's taking a while. Just about to the end. I can feel it getting tighter. There we go. Okay, that's on.
My body is feeling it. But my legs feel so much stronger.
Finally got that hole lined up.